This is, I think, fundamental. And the people of Illinois, good and true, do not want us to cut back on our education system, our investment in children. We would not want history to be written 50 years from now saying that people in Illinois in 2010 didn't see the importance of education. I do. I think everybody here does. And I think the people of Illinois, all across our state, wherever they live, they understand that education is the key to good jobs and a good life. And it's jobs follow brain power. The more brains we muster, the better jobs we'll have.
Governor, did you propose $1.3 billion of cuts in education because you think that there is that money to cut, or did you do it intentionally to scare lawmakers into voting?
There's no scaring involved. The bottom line is, the federal money is not coming. I went to Washington a couple weeks ago. I was with all the governors from across our country. We sat in the White House. The president had a town meeting in the White House just with governors. It would lasted more than an hour. It was quite impressive. The President of the United States handling questions from Democratic governors, Republican governors. We're all partners. You know, he's the chief executive of our country. We're the chief executives of our states. It was a robust discussion. It was crystal clear that the votes are not there in the Congress to extend the federal stimulus for education. It's not going to happen. We have to understand that. When I came back to Illinois, I told our budget people we can't write that in. We will not have $1 billion that was very helpful to us in the past fiscal year, this one we're in now. We won't have that from Washington. We have to make it clear to the people what the stakes are.
But Mr. Sturmer said 2 days ago, Mr. Sturmer told us that General Assembly had indicated it would not support a tax increase. He said that time and time again, which is why the budget proposal is what it was. So how is this going to be different?
Well, there is a choice. I think it's a pretty stark choice, and I think it's important that we make good choices, even if they're tough choices. I think these are choices that will make lives better for our students today and tomorrow, and for our teachers. Do you want to see a lot of young teachers who just got out of school, bright, optimistic, committed, idealistic teachers? They would be the first ones laid off. And we're talking about 17,000 teachers in Illinois losing their jobs. I don't think that's a good way to go for our state.
Budget that's going to cut it by $1.3 billion in education, and if you're the one setting the table for these cuts, then
well, what I tried to do yesterday is make it very clear that we don't have federal money for education, and we have a lot of bills to pay for education. I think that we should, as a citizenry, the people of Illinois, good and strong, make a commitment to pass a 1% surcharge for education. And we're going to get that done, I believe, because the people understand how important it is.
Lawmakers say that they simply do not believe that if the tax increase doesn't pass, which most of them say there's no way it'll ever pass, that you simply do not have the stomach to cut $1.3 billion out of education. That at the end of the day it won't happen. And they accuse you of doing exactly what you did last year, which is hanging out these draconian cuts and then backing off.
Well, the legislators last year wanted to cut human services 50%. I didn't. I vetoed that, and we got a better budget. But I think you need to understand that last fiscal year, we had over $1 billion from the United States government in Washington, D.C., coming to Illinois, emergency money to help our education. That was last year. We don't have that for the coming year. We have to understand reality. We are now without $1 billion that we counted on this year. So we have to make it up. And I think it's very, very important that we step forward and make this decision that we aren't going to cut education funding. Instead, we will have a surcharge, a 1% surcharge for schools, for children, for education, for teachers who are committed.
Do you negotiate any of this money to go to local governments, given that they're already crying major hay over the cut that they'll be getting in their budget?
Everybody has to make sacrifices. If you look at yesterday's budget, every entity has had to make sacrifices. These are painful cuts. They're not things that I would want to do in normal times. But we are in emergency times, times where our national economy has slumped. It began under President George Bush, the Great Recession. It's really harmed not just our state, but every state. We got to get back on our feet economically. We have programs to do that. The Small Business Job Creation Tax Credit. We're going to do that in Illinois. We're going to work like we did to get Ford to come here and create 1,200 new manufacturing jobs. That's part of getting back on track, economic growth. But we cannot, as we do this, let our children stand on the side of the road. Parents don't take holidays from raising their kids. We don't take vacations from raising our children. This is fundamental, that we have to be steady, committed, caring adults for children who need a good education. They have to be